Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to The Introverted Nerd Watches. I'm your host, Reese, and today I watched Season 1, Episode 5 of Black Lightning, and then the devil brought the plague, the Book of Green Light. And goddamn, that title is long. Oh shit, that title is long. So, first of all, happy Black Panther Day. I'm so freaking excited for that movie. I can't even tell you how, I can't express how excited I am. And that is a bad thing because I am talking to you on my podcast. But, goddamn, I'm so excited. So, obviously, it's Thursday, the day that Black Panther comes out. And I'm about to go see that movie in T-minus, like 3 hours. It is 4:30 right now. My movie starts at 7:30, and so I'm obviously recording this really late. I was supposed to record this last night. I had some technical difficulties and I couldn't do it, so here I am. And so what's going to happen is, well, okay, this is what happened. I was going to go to see Black Panther tonight. And since I took Friday off of work, I'm taking Friday off of work because this is a 4-day weekend. This is a holiday. This is a 4-day weekend for a holiday. It's a Black Panther holiday, is what I called it at work. I said, I'm taking off the Black Panther holiday. And, I work with a bunch of white people. So it was like... They probably thought I was like about to leave to start a revolution. I was going to kill all of them, but bad joke. It was whatever. The white people are fine. They'll be fine. This is my Black Panther weekend. I'm taking my black ass to see Black Panther all weekend. I plan to see it every day this weekend. Like seriously. So that's just how it's going to be. And tonight is the first time I see it. I was going to go, I always go off on a tangent, but I was going to go see the movie tonight. And when I got out of the movie theater, I was going to record this episode and just release it regularly, like I usually do on Friday. But I thought I would be a little too tempted to maybe accidentally spoil something for people. So I have self-control. I'm going to focus right now. I'm going to record this right now. And we're going to do this. We're going to get through this together because this was actually a pretty good episode of Black Lightning. I enjoyed it. I have a lot of questions about what happens, what's going to happen next. Yeah, there was a lot going on in this episode. So let's get to it. Let's start with Jennifer because I'm the least interested in what she had going on. And she didn't have a whole lot going on in this episode. Basically, Jennifer got into a fight at a roller skating rink with a couple of girls. One of the girls specifically dated Khalil, and she beat her in some sort of track meet or something like that. And they instigated the fight. Jennifer was, minding her own business, taking selfies, being a teenager, and the girls instigated, and Jennifer beat their asses like real good. I appreciated that, but she broke one girl's wrist, and she broke her wrist after the girl was already down. She was she already had her down. She was like, the fight was over basically. And Jennifer just sort of a last little cherry on top of the ass beating was to snap the girl's wrist. Now, this leads into the girl's mother and aunt coming over to Jennifer's house, and we find out that Jennifer didn't tell her parents that she got into this fight. So that has Lynn, all pissed because I don't know. The thing about what's going on with Jennifer, like last week, she was, she was crying in the hallway, outside of Khalil's hospital room. She just seemed generally like kind of down, but this week she's back up and she seems like the regular girl that we saw in the first episode. So maybe this is just teenage shit and I just have to like move on from it, but it was really nothing. And the only thing that Jeff told her, like Lynn was like really pissed at her and she's like, she's grounded and all that. But, since they admit in the episode that, her punishments never really stick, I don't know why we had to suffer through this. But, and I say suffer through, but it wasn't really. I swear she was in the episode for like 10 minutes. It was not that long and it was not that big a deal. But the funniest thing that happened is when that girl brought her mom and aunt to Jeff's house, the aunt came in ready to fight with her like silk. It wasn't even silk. It was like this spandex that looked silky. It was a jumpsuit that she had on. She had on her boots. I mean, she was really dressed up to go to their house. And it was so funny because she came in with that attitude, like she was ready to fight. Jeff said at one point that he thought she was about to take out the Vaseline and put it on her face, though. That was the funny part of this whole thing. And when Jeff finds out that Jennifer beat up two girls, Lynn is standing there like yelling at Jennifer, like basically telling her to get her shit together. And Jeff is standing there smiling like he's a proud father. Like, oh wow, you beat up two girls? It was two of them? Really? It was so funny. His face when he was when Lynn is there, like Lynn is like real pissed. She little girled her at one point. She was like, little girl, do you really want to get into this with me right now? And Jeff is standing there smiling. It's so funny. Just watching his reaction to like finding out that Jennifer beat up two girls. And so Jeff and Lynn not on the same page when it comes to this parenting shit. And they're not on the same page about a lot of stuff. So whatever. They need to help Jennifer out because she has all kinds of problems right now. And I just want her to get her superpowers so I'll find her more interesting so they can bring her into stuff that I'm more interested in. Because right now I'm not interested in her and Khalil. Khalil wasn't in this episode. She didn't go visit him in this episode. And I don't even think that Jennifer wants to be with Khalil really at this point. But she probably feel like it'd be a real dick move to dump the guy that you just started dating like after he gets injured. So, that was Jennifer. Jeff tells her that she has to learn to control her emotions and her temper, and that sometimes it's better to walk away from a fight, blah, blah, blah. Jeff doesn't follow his own advice because he is aggressive and really emotional, and this episode makes some emotional decisions. So I guess he's more the do as I say, not as I do kind of parent. That's what my grandma used to say to me. I would be like, she'd be like, you have to do whatever. You have to wash your clothes. And I'd be like, well, you didn't wash your clothes. And she'd be like, do as I say, not as I do. And that would just be it. That's what everybody's parents say when they tell you to do something that they don't actually do. So that's what I would do as a parent. I would be like, they'd be like, well, I'd be like, well, you have to learn how to cook. They'd be like, well, you don't know how to cook. I'd be like, do as I say, not as I do. I need people to cook for me. Move on right now because I'm done with Jennifer. Get out, Jennifer. On to my girl, Anissa, who was looking real good in this episode. As usual, though. She's a good-looking girl. A good-looking woman. I like her. Hey, Anissa. Or Nafisa. I don't know how do you pronounce the actress's name? Her name is spelled I think Nafessa, and I'm not sure whether she pronounced it Nafisa or Nafessa. Whatever. I'm calling her Anissa because, and she's fine, and I likes her. So Anissa is doing what I want her to be doing, and she's researching her powers. And this research takes her to whatever her searches were, leads her to this guy that has a conspiracy theory video. I'm guessing she's on YouTube or whatever, the CW version of fake version of YouTube, that because I don't know if they can use YouTube on I don't know if they actually want to do the brand YouTube or Google and all that. So whatever their TV version of that is, that's what she was doing. And she finds a conspiracy guy who actually mentions her grandfather in the video, because apparently there's some Tuskegee like testing going on in Freeland on I think 9 children the children were injected with some sort of serum that gave them superpowers. And her grandfather was actually the person that was reporting on it. And after he finished reporting on it, his editor refused to run the story, and her grandfather died or was murdered. We find out, I think we already knew, by Tobias, was murdered right after he wrote that. And, the story was never published, and it was just sort of brushed aside, and these children disappeared. So, some crazy shit was going on in Freeland. Some Tuskegee Airmen like testing type shit was going on with, most likely, almost definitely little black children. So, I want to know who those children were. I want to know if they're still around. Because we find out that this experimentation was happening in 1987, I believe they said it was. So that's 30 years ago. All of those people would be adults at this point. And, unless they're all dead. So what happens is Anissa goes to see her grandfather's former editor, who turns out to be Antonio Vargas, Huggy Bear. And he's, Anissa goes there to talk to him under the, sort of, I don't know if she lies to him or if she just sort of doesn't give him all the information. But as soon as she brings up her grandfather, the dude is like, no, cut this. I don't want to talk to you about your grandfather. I'm going to be nice, and I'm not going to go off on you, out of respect for your grandfather. So just get the fuck out. He didn't say get the fuck out. I say get the fuck out, but he wanted to say get the fuck out. If this wasn't the CW, he would have said, yeah, get the fuck out. Because Huggy Bear wasn't having any of the talk about her grandfather. And Anissa makes the point that or she makes the comment to him, like, on her way out, that she thought that he wanted to fight for justice and all that, blah blah blah. So she guilts him, and she goes back to see him, and he gives her all of her grandfather's old all of his old notes, and it's like basically a box of information about the story that he was writing. And he gives it to her. He tells her basically to be careful, that whatever this is got her grandfather murdered, and she should stay out of it. But if she's not, good luck, and don't come back here, is what he tells her. Because whatever this is, he is just not fucking around with it. He saved all this stuff. I don't know why he would save all of it if he was really that scared, because he tells her that that her grandfather getting involved in whatever this is, doing research on or reporting on whatever this is, had people watching him. So I don't know who was watching him, Tobias murdered him. So I don't know how this connects Tobias to it. Or maybe I have a few theories about how Tobias connects to this, because Tobias, we know for certain that Tobias murdered Jeff's father. So that's so Anissa continues on to this. I guess I don't know how I wonder if she thinks her powers are connected to whatever this drug is, but she can't possibly think that, because she knows that she wasn't injected with anything. And Anissa is not over 30. She's like 22. She's in her early 20s. I'm guessing she's like 22 because she's in medical school. So I'm guessing she's around 21, 22 years old. So she wouldn't think that she would have any connection to this, like to the serum specifically, or, any of the experimentation that was going on. So I'm guessing that she just wants to find out what happened to those kids, or she just wants to follow up on her grandfather's story. I don't know. And we don't, she doesn't know anything about Tobias. So this is not about finding her grandfather's murderer or anything. So I don't know. Personally, I think this is just a way to bring her into Jefferson's orbit. Because Anissa is going out to be a superhero at this point. She wants to be a superhero. She wants to use her powers to be a superhero. So this is a way to make her and Jefferson cross paths. Make her research or investigate her grandfather's this shit that her grandfather was into, and Jeff simultaneously, or while she's doing that, he's investigating how this green light is getting out in the streets, and he wants to know who's making it. So eventually they're going to cross paths. And in this episode, I don't think that Gambi knows that Anissa is the one that he saw on the video last week. I thought that he might have known, it was her that was, the woman in the video that did all the damage that they thought was like a bomb going off. But I'm going to say right now that I don't think that he knows that it was her. So it's going to be a surprise to Gambi and to Jeff, to everybody, that, this is Anissa. I don't think this is one of the secrets that Gambi is keeping. That dude already has too many secrets. So one less secret for Gambi is a good thing. So Anissa's story, basically, she didn't do a ton this week. She found her costume. Oh my God. We got a montage of Anissa going out to try to find her costume. So she goes to what I think was a lingerie store, but just had a ton of spandex, like cat suits and things and jumpsuits. I don't know what that store was, but there's a white guy that works there that's dressed like the Bounty paper towel man. And, he was getting a little too familiar with Anissa. And I don't know whether I was just being paranoid in this episode, but he asked Anissa her name, and she gave him a fake name. So I was like, oh my God, this guy is shady. I don't trust him. He's dressed like the Bounty paper towel man. He's a white man in this store. I don't even trust this guy, but he's probably just a one-off guy. But he was just really familiar, like, with her. I mean, not familiar like I see him, but he was just really, like, he was the kind of salesperson that I hate. I hate the kind of person that is constantly asking you, like, if you need any help. It's like, dude, if I need help, I will ask you for help. I don't need help. I'm just looking around. And he's my nightmare when I go out to a store. He's just, I hate that guy. I hated his face too. Maybe that has something to do with it. I just hated that guy's face. So Anissa, oh my God, Anissa comes up with this, I think it's either blue or purple. It's a multicolor, like cat suit that she's wearing. She has a blonde wig and she puts a gold, it looks like it's makeup. I don't think it's actually a gold mask, but it's a makeup that just goes around her eyes so that it looks like so that her eyes are covered. But not really. She just looks like Anissa with heavy gold eye makeup, and she's wearing a pair of gold boots. I love her so much. It is so great. It is the loudest like superhero costume that you will ever see. Somebody said on Twitter that she looked like Dazzler from the X-Men. It was so funny. And I was like, if there was ever any doubt that she was Jefferson Pierce's daughter, just look at her costume. Look at the superhero costume that she came up with on her own, and you would know that she's his child. It was, that costume looks good on her. It is the craziest thing that I've ever seen, because what she wants to do, like Huggy Bear told her, they're going to be people like watching you, and she finds just the loudest clothing that you could possibly wear. Like, if you want to, if you want everybody to see you without actually coming out and saying see you, you wear what Anissa has on. You just wear the brightest colors, the most obvious like blonde wig. Oh my God, I love her, but the thing is crazy. Her outfit is crazy. So I saw people saying that they saw her, like there were some photos released of her in her costume. I'm hoping that this is not it. I'm hoping that she's going to, that when Gambi finds out who she is, that he'll help her upgrade. But yeah, Gambi doesn't have the greatest taste either, because look at Black Lightning's, look at his costume. Oh, that nigga. Anyway, so Anissa goes to this storage facility where, she was going through her grandfather's stuff. She finds a key to this storage facility, and she goes there in her new superhero outfit, and she breaks in, and I'm like, it's a storage locker full of stuff, and her grandfather's been dead for 30 years, and my first question was like, how do they do this in Freeland? Like, how do you keep, they didn't auction off all her grandfather's stuff. They just let that storage locker he has stay there like completely untouched for the last 30 years. Where'd they do that at? Is that place was that place just abandoned and they just left everything there? Because I'm like, there are TV shows just dedicated to selling the things that people leave in abandoned storage facilities. Like, whatever. Eventually she breaks open, there's a safe in there. She breaks open the safe and she finds a little vial. I don't know whether it was a liquid or a powder, but I'm guessing that has something to do, that is the stuff that the children were being injected with, and the chemical or the serum that the kids were being that they were using to experiment on the children. So I don't know, but her grandfather had some and they killed his ass. So Anissa better watch out. And that was basically all for her. The rest of this is Jefferson, Gambi, Lynn, Tobias, and Tori. And we find out that Tobias and Tori's dad is Kyle Barker from Living Single. And my dude is not looking good. That's so mean to me. I didn't even tweet about it. I was live tweeting the episode and I was like, oh my God, that's Kyle. He looks terrible. And I didn't even tweet about it because I didn't want to be like a dick, but I'm going to talk about it here. Dude is not looking great. And maybe it's just the fact that we see Scooter, like Scooter's the star of the show, and Scooter doesn't look like, he looks exactly the same as he did the first time we see him in Living Single. He hasn't aged a day. But Kyle Blocker is not looking great. He is just, oh. And I was wondering, like, was he sick or something? I don't know if something happened to him. He was just not looking good. And Kyle used to be like, he was sort of this suave, debonair, good looking guy, and he black cracked in this case. So I don't know. Sorry, Kyle. Maybe it wouldn't be so jarring if he wasn't like next to Scooter. And luckily we didn't see him. He didn't have any scenes with Scooter. He was just, because it would have been even, he would have looked even worse if he was like next to Scooter. So, so we find out that, what happens is, Tobias goes to see Gambi. What? I was so fucking shocked when this happened. And he wants Gambi to tell him who Black Lightning is because he says that Gambi has a connection. He either works for some sort of organization called the ASA. And apparently that's what gives Gambi all of his contacts to, so he's always doing all the heavy work for all the research work, finding out who people are and where they come from. And, so apparently the ASA is where Gambi gets all of his info. And Tobias and okay. And this is another thing. When Gambi erased the video of Tobias at, shooting at the march or at the protest, I thought that was Gambi finding out Tobias was alive for the first time. Turns out, at least based on this interaction that they have, I don't think that's the case. Because Gambi says to Tobias, we agreed that you would stay away. And it's like, well, if you thought the nigga was dead, you wouldn't agree that he would stay away. He would be dead. And it's like, oh shit, Gambi, you have known all this time for the last 9 years that Tobias was alive and well and running around the city, and oh my God, Gambi. So we'll get to Gambi, the rest of the shit he's doing later. But they just have this really tense conversation, and Tobias, sort of low key threatens Gambi. They pull out guns on each other. My silent girl is back. I love her. And, she's Tobias's bodyguard in this episode. She's there when he's talking to Gambi. And it's so crazy. And at one point, Tobias says that after he asks if Gambi can tell him who Black Lightning is, he says that Gambi wants Black Lightning gone as much as he does. And I'm like, okay, why does Tobias think that Gambi doesn't want Black Lightning around? Because we know since the first episode that Gambi has been all about having Jeff be Black Lightning again. So what the fuck's going on? Who's the ASA? What kind of connection does Tobias have to Gambi? This is some crazy shit. And also we find out through Gambi says, I forget what Tobias says, but Gambi says to Tobias that he has a serum. He took some sort of serum that keeps him young. What? And okay, so we find out. So Tobias has to be like 60, 70 years old or something, and he's just, whatever he took makes him young and strong, because Anissa's grandfather, or Jeff's father, same thing, he died 30 years ago. Tobias looks he looks like he's, mid-30s, mid to late 30s, something like that. So he would have been like 8. He would have been like 8 or something. He would have been like 8 to 10 years old when Jeff's father died. So Tobias is like 70, y'all. Like I was thinking about that last night and I was like, oh shit, he's like 70 years old. Oh, nigga. So once they get that all over with, Tobias goes home to sit in the dark and be emo. And my girl Tori comes in and she's telling Tobias that basically he has to get his shit together because she's saying he's being reckless because he tells her that he went to see the tailor, Gambi. And she's like, whoa. No, you don't go see Gambi. You're doing some crazy shit, based on what Lady Eve said to you. And he's telling her, he's not scared of Lady Eve because, he's a 70-year-old man and he can handle that shit, I guess. I don't know. But he's not scared of Lady Eve. And he's like, Lady Eve and her partners are sort of using the fact that Black Lightning isn't dead to take everything that he earned away from him. And he's like, fuck that. I should be sitting at the table with them. We should be ruling this shit together. I shouldn't be down here babysitting the 100 gang. I've done everything. He said that he's done everything that they asked and he deserves more respect. And Tori is telling him, you got to take this one step at a time. You got to get your shit together. And it was I was thinking like, this is such a nice moment because Tori is saying, she's being like this really, like cool ass supportive sister. And she's telling Tobias that he has to deal with his childhood trauma that comes from, the abuse that they suffer from their father. And I was like, this is so progressive and great because, she's talking about how she read about, childhood trauma and she's telling her brother that he has to deal with it. And he's like listening to her and taking on what she's saying. And, but I'm like, it's all like in service of like she's like, deal with your childhood trauma, so that we can go on and kill Black Lightning. So I appreciate that. Killing Black Lightning is truly the Whale family business, and they're, I don't know. I love them though. Tori's great. I really love her. So, and this is when we get a flashback and we find out, that Kyle Barker is their father. And Kyle Barker is just a dick. He's yelling at Tobias about the medical bills he has to pay because, their mother ran out on them. Tobias, I guess, has a lot of medical bills that go along with his albinism. So that's really fucked up. And he's yelling at him about how he's not black and he's not white and he ain't nothing. And okay, so there's these moments on this show where they have characters say things that are that sound like pop culture references, but they're just a little bit off. Like when Tobias at the when he was at the march, he was saying everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And I was like, is that Tupac? And it sounded like a rapper. I was wondering, I couldn't remember what it was, but it was like, it sounds close to something that I heard before, but maybe that's just a regular old saying that people say. But then in the last episode, Gambi was quoting like pretty closely the 10 Crack Commandments. So I was like, that's a thing. And then when Kyle Barker tells Tobias that you ain't black, you ain't white, you ain't nothing. I was like, that sounds like Bad by Michael Jackson when he's going, you ain't bad, you ain't nothing. And I was just, okay, this shit just really started driving me crazy. And then we get another one later in the episode because Tobias and Tori go deal with their father, and they knock on his door. When he opens the door, Tobias immediately punches him in the face. And he falls down. But when Tobias helps him back up, he says, "You still hit like a bitch." That was very funny. But it was also, it's a quote by the grandmother in the and don't be a menace to South Central but while drinking your juice in the hood. It's exactly what the grandmother says after Ashtray punches her in the face. So I don't know whether it's just, are they trying to make these pop culture references, or am I just picking up on bullshit? Is this just me picking up on bullshit? I don't know. Tell me what you think. Tweet me at TheIntrovertedNerd and tell me if I'm just being crazy and picking up on shit that isn't there. So they go see their father to deal with the trauma, and Tobias breaks that nigga's back, like gives him a hug, breaks his back, lets him fall on the floor, and just basically tells Tori that we gonna let this nigga die here. We gonna let him suffer and die with his broken back, and they leave. And the last time we see Tobias, he's received a letter from, I'm guessing, Lady Eve, and the letter is not actually a letter. It's just an envelope that has crushed bones in it. And Tobias starts having a flashback to when Lady Eve was saying was that the last episode, that she's telling him how albinos are hunted down and their bones, people use their bones, crush them up into dust. And that's what she said to him. She sent him bone dust. So Lady Eve she threatened Tobias. Shit's not going, it's not going well for him. But Tobias he's not going to back down from her. So whatever happens between them, he's not going to go out like Latavius, crying and harpooned. Tobias is going to fight. So I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see them, like what happens between them. And this is only the 5th episode. And I'm not ready to see Tobias or Lady Eve be taken out yet. And yeah, Tobias can't be taken out until he sees Jeff, right? The real conflict is between Tobias and Jeff. So I'm hoping, like, fingers crossed, Tobias is going to be around for a while. So and this flashback that we see with Tobias, I really like the way that they did it, because it's in black and white, and it's basically, it's like Tobias sitting down looking in on this memory he's having of his father and Tori when they were kids, but you don't see the young Tobias, you see adult Tobias, and he's basically answering back to his father, like when his father is telling him that he's worthless, and when his father's just basically berating him, Tobias is answering back. Adult Tobias is answering back. And I'm guessing it's, what he said when he was a kid during this, memory, whenever this happened. So it's a really cool moment how they played it. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad that they didn't get a little kid with albinism to play young Tobias, because Kyle Barker was just saying some really mean shit. And it would have been like 10 times worse to have him saying it to an actual kid with albinism. Yeah, it would have hurt my feelings, and I didn't want to see that. So that's it for Tobias this week. We move on to Lynn, Jeff, Gambi, all the shit they have going on. So Gambi made Jeff new tech, of course. I think he's got new tech in every single episode. So Jeff can fly now. Whatever, the modification that Gambi made for his suit gives him the ability to use his the lightning coming out of his hands as like the thrusters to get him off the ground and to get him to fly. So that's cool. But apparently whatever Gambi put in the suit is fucking Jeff up, because he started having headaches after he used this flying thing he has now. And they progressively get worse to the point where he passes out. So Jeff is, I was wondering, Gambi says that it's whatever he put into the suit that is affecting him and he has to fix it. But we saw in the was it the second or third episode where Jeff is having that, the lightning coursing through his veins and all that. So he has these, these physiological things happen to him with his lightning ability. So maybe it's not what Gambi put into his suit, but that's what Gambi thinks it is. So for the time being, I'm going to trust that. But you can't really trust Gambi these days, because your boy is keeping a lot of secrets. So during his part of his investigation, after Jeff fights or just basically beats up a guy that's wearing a MAGA hat, he finds out that Tobias's right-hand man, the dude that's been with Tobias from the beginning, like the silent girl and the dude that's with him, we find out that his name is Joey Toledo. And when Jeff hears about Joey Toledo, he puts it together that if Joey Toledo is still around, that means Tobias is still around. But Gambi's not telling Jeff about Tobias, and he's just talking to Jeff like he doesn't know that Tobias is alive. Like he didn't have like a whole conversation with that nigga 10 minutes before Jeff comes to see him about Joey Toledo. So Jeff gets, I guess, kind of sidetracked, or maybe not sidetracked, but he gets really emotional about the Joey Toledo situation because Tobias killed his father. And he becomes more focused on that, I think, than he is on the green light. But since Joey Toledo is connected to the green light, he can, all of the stuff that he's worried about is together. But I think he's more worried about Joey Toledo and Tobias because they killed his father than he kind of is about the green light right now. So he and this whole episode is basically him going through channels to try to find out how the green light is being made and who is who's making it. So he gets after he passes out, Lynn is there, or Gambi calls Lynn in to examine him because Gambi says he can't take him to the doctor, because an actual doctor, because he can't they can't answer all the questions that would be asked about what happened to him. And so Lynn is monitoring him, and she tells him basically that he has to rest. And of course, Jeff isn't going to do that. And this is something else that Jeff and Lynn's relationship. I don't want to talk about this every week because I'm over it. I did a whole post on Tumblr about how I'm just over this thing with them. I don't understand why it's still happening. Are they together or are they not? We had earlier in the season, or well, it's still fairly early, but in the first couple of episodes, they're still arguing about it. They haven't been together for 9 years. And then when he says that he's going to be Black Lightning, we see that she got an attitude. She closed her laptop and she left. But they're still playing like they're trying to get back together. It doesn't make sense to me, because when Lynn is checking Jeff out later, like examining him at home later on, she says to him, "So I hear you're going back out as Black Lightning." And that doesn't make any sense to me, because Jeff explicitly says to her, Black Lightning is back. So what did she think that meant? And Jeff says, Jeff like gets kind of annoyed. He's like, "Oh, Gambi told you." And it's like, you already talked about this. You already know, like, he already told her that he's going back out as Black Lightning. She already knew and got mad about it. So why are they acting like she didn't know? Like he was trying to keep that a secret. It's not a secret. This is crazy. I don't whatever. And he came back out as Black Lightning at the protest after Khalil was shot, and Khalil and the Reverend were shot. So this is not a surprise to them. He came down and he saved the people at the protest. She knew he was Black Lightning. This is, it's like, before I was just like, I didn't care. Now I'm starting to get annoyed because I don't understand what they're doing with this. I don't understand why they're going back and forth. And it's not it's not about the characters. It's about what the show wants this relationship to be. And it's also silly to me because I know they're going to get back together, and that Lynn is going to have to get over it because Anissa has powers too. So this just seems kind of useless and a waste of time. Just make them be together or not. But don't do this thing where you act like he's trying to hide it when he's really not. So anyway, after all that happens, Jeff goes to Henderson and he gives Henderson the information about Joey Toledo and the green light and how they're connected. And he wants Henderson to, I don't know, what exactly does he want Henderson to do? He wants Henderson to go through police channels to find out like where Joey Toledo is. And of course, Henderson can't get anybody to look out on Joey Toledo, like to follow him around, because the police can't do anything. And so Henderson calls Black Lightning. Jeff gives him a phone and says that, this will be the black signal. Jeff is so corny. It's so funny, but it's so corny. I love it. And so Henderson tells him how to find Joey Toledo. He finds him. They have a fight outside of a nightclub, and Jeff actually he actually threatens Gambi. He tells Gambi because Gambi is telling him that he, like I said earlier, that whatever the part of the suit is that makes him fly, he has to fix it still, and Jeff shouldn't use the suit, especially since he's having the headaches. And Jeff sort of says, fuck that. If you don't give me, if you don't make this suit wearable for me, I'm going to Black Lightning your ass. And Gambi just looks at him and he's like, oh, okay, here you go. And Jeff had to learn the hard way because he's out there fighting Joey Toledo to The Payback by James Brown, which I love that song. And his ass starts getting headaches again. And Joey Toledo stomps him real quick and leaves Jeff there to crawl around on the ground because he has the headaches, and he also can't use his lightning power at that moment. I guess while he's having the headaches, he can't use the lightning power. And Joey Toledo just says, I forget what that dude says. I don't like that guy. He's just sort of, he's not menacing to me. He's just sort of this greasy haired like nerd that's always wearing sweater vests. I don't like him. And I hope Tobias just gets rid of him. He's not worth it to me. The Silent Girl is better. I love that chick. That's the only person Tobias, that's the only person Tobias needs. Silent Girl and Tori. Those are the only two he needs. So Jeff is left to just writhe on the ground and in pain, I guess. And that's the end of the episode. There's a lot of shit going on. Will these headaches continue for Jeff? When will he and Anissa cross paths? When is Jennifer going to do something that I think is interesting? So much. And what about Gambi? I could get a whole episode on Gambi at this point. Like, I really need to know more about this guy. I need to know who the ASA is. I need to know why Tobias thinks Gambi doesn't want Black Lightning around. I need to know a lot of shit about Gambi. And we won't get any of that information until February 27th because that's how long the show is going to be on break. Ugh. I was so pissed when I found that out. I thought we were going to get, since The Flash was on break, and I don't know how long they're going to be on break, but since The Flash was on break, I thought that we were just going to get Black Lightning straight through, but turns out, nope. They want to ruin my life, and so the show's going to be off for what is that? 2 weeks, I think it is. So I don't want to wait 2 weeks until the next episode. I want to see it next week. I want to see it now. Oh, so there will be no episode of Black Lightning next week. So I won't be podcasting it next week, but you should subscribe to the podcast, rate and review it in iTunes for me, because that will really help me out. And you'll get my Saved by the Bell reviews until Black Lightning comes back. And Saved by the Bell is fun. So, and I love that show. So listen to that while you're waiting for Black Lightning. And you can follow me on Twitter at TINerdPod, or you can follow personally my personal Twitter account at TheIntrovert. Follow me on Instagram at TheIntrovertedNerd. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheIntrovertedNerd, and email me what you think about everything that's going on at TheIntrovertedNerd@gmail.com. And I will talk to you about Black Lightning in a few weeks, everybody. Go see Black Panther.